I have with me today Lorenzo, full-time nurse who started real estate investing and is now moving towards full-time real estate investing.
I honestly was never the best with money. I kind of just live for tomorrow, live for the weekends, and would just blow all my money. Once I met my fiance at the time, now my wife, I kind of realized I really need to get my shit together. If I could flip a house and make $50,000, I would only need 4 of those, and that could replace my income for the whole year for nursing. We were freaking out. The buyers who were going to buy it from us initially backed out, and our hard money loan was due. All the credit cards that we had maxed out for the 0% interest credit cards, those were due. So we ended up losing about $100,000 on that one.
Welcome to the next episode of Chalkboards to Cash Flow. I have with me today Lorenzo. Lorenzo is a full-time nurse who started real estate investing and is now moving towards full-time real estate investing. So let's get started. Welcome, Lorenzo.
Thanks, Michelle. I'm super happy to be here.
Thank you. All right. So tell us a little bit about your journey as a nurse. How long have you been in healthcare?
Yeah, so I've been a nurse now. It's going on 11 years. So in August, it'll be, exactly 11 years. I honestly got started in nursing because my mom is a nurse. And so she really pushed me to do it, to be honest. At high school, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And for a long time, it was just me and her. My parents were divorced. And so there would be some times where I would go into the hospital with her. I don't know how this was allowed, but I would go into the hospital with her, being in a break room while she was working. And I kind of got to see how she was interacting and then talking with doctors and sometimes patients. And so, I've been a nurse now, for 11 years. I got into pediatrics. So I work in the operating room at Stanford. And I love it. It's been awesome.
Very cool. All right. So when did real estate first get on your radar?
Yeah, so real estate actually didn't get onto my radar probably until 2022, 2023. And way before all this, I honestly was never the best with money. I kind of just live for tomorrow, live for the weekends, and would just blow all my money. And so, once I met my fiance at the time, now my wife, I kind of realized I really need to get my shit together. Sorry if I'm not allowed to cuss, but I really need to get my stuff together. And so I just started reading books about how to get better with money. And so I started reading A Simple Path to Wealth, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, listening to podcasts about how to be better financially. And everything kind of kept pointing to real estate. And so after about a year of reading as many books as I could and listening to different podcasts about finances, I finally went to a real estate investing event. And this was in 2023. And the guy who was putting it on is a flipper. And so that's honestly kind of how I just fell into it. And I got started in 2023 after joining his coaching program.
Very cool. I did not know that. I also met you through a coaching program that we're both in together. And maybe we can talk about that too. So you started flipping.
Yes.
Very cool. So tell us about that. How do you start flipping and how much cash do you need to get started in something like that?
Yeah, I think it really just depends on where you're trying to do it. But the reason why I wanted to get into flipping and the mindset behind that was the guy who was preaching at this conference was saying, you could put $100,000 after you save it up for however long that takes into a rental, and a long-term rental, maybe, especially if you're buying out of state because it's a little bit cheaper, you may be netting maybe $300 to $500 a month, if that, right? And so if you think about how long it takes to actually recoup that money, or say, try and get $50,000 even, that could take a really long time. And so flipping is a great way to exponentially expedite how fast you can get money. And it's just another way to increase your active income. And so for me, I was trying to replace my nursing income faster because I knew that I wanted to get out of it quicker. And so my thought process was, if I could flip a house and make $50,000, I would only need 4 of those, and that could replace my income for the whole year for nursing.
Wow.
And so I knew just if I was trying to do the rental route, it would take me a much longer time to exit my job.
So tell us about your first flip. How did that start?
Yeah, my first flip was here in the Bay Area, and so it was in El Cerrito. This was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It was listed on the market on Zillow or Redfin. It was on the market for about 120 days. And because of that, we were able to come in with a much lower price. And so I think it was listed for $900,000. We ended up locking it up for $780 or so. And this was a house that needed a lot of work. It was original 1950s, 1960s build. So it needed new plumbing, new electrical, new roof, pretty much everything besides the foundation. And so I went in it with two other people who I'd met through my coaching program. And I think I came in with 70,000 for that first one. So we each kind of split everything evenly. And everything that could have gone wrong honestly went wrong. We started doing it without any permits, and then we got tagged by the city, like a red tag, which pretty much halts everything you can do until you get the permit. So we had to wait 3 or 4 months before continuing the project. And then we went over budget. Yeah, after we were trying to sell the property, after it was all completed, this was about 11 months after owning it. When we were trying to sell it, the title company that we had used, which was different than the first company that we had used to buy it, told us that the property, long story short, we only had the rights for half of the property because the property sat on 2 parcels. And the woman who had sold it to us was given to her by her mother who had passed away. And when the mom had given it to the daughter, she had never pretty much given it correctly for both parcels. And so she only had the rights to sell us one, which the first title company did not catch. And so this was just like a huge stressful situation because the sellers who were, or the buyers who were going to buy it from us initially backed out, and our hard money loan was due. All the credit cards that we had maxed out for the 0% interest credit cards, those were due. And so if we had to go through this long judicial process of probate, it would have added like another year. And so if you don't know, hard money loans, they're usually only for 12 months or so. And usually hard money lenders don't allow you to extend that. And so we were freaking out, and the buyers ended up agreeing to take it with the title company. They would help them pretty much go through this whole process, but they came in at a much lower offer price. And so we ended up losing about $100,000 on that one.
Wow.
Yeah. So split between 3 of us. I lost like 30,000 for that first one, but yeah, it was very unfortunate.
Tell me a little bit about the strategy of partnering, because a lot of people, myself included with a job, are saying, gosh, I don't have, 50,000 sitting around or something. How does partnering with other people help you do that?
Yeah, I mean, partnering can be good and bad. I think it's partnering is much like marriage because you have financials involved. You're very, very tied up to a specific asset. So flipping, thankfully, it's only one property. But if you're tied up with someone for, say, a commercial property or a long-term hold, it could be a much longer time frame that you're, quote unquote, married with this business partner. And so it's really important to find someone who is complementing of your skill set, right? So if you are someone who maybe isn't the best at social media or isn't good at raising capital, maybe you can partner with someone who is really good at that. Like the 2 people that I went in on the flip with, one of them was an architect, and so he had a really good history and background with just like construction and project management and all that, which I did not have any exposure to. And another girl, she was a data analyst, so she was really analytical, and I was more of the social butterfly, so to say. And so I was the one posting everything on social media for our project and getting kind of just like eyes on everything that we were doing. Yeah, I just think with partners, you just got to be really careful about and take your time just really getting to know people. Make sure that not only is it important that you guys are aligned on your goals, make sure you're aligned on your like morals, just how you interact with people. Because if you don't interact with people the same way or don't have the same communication styles, I think there can be a lot of friction and cause just a lot of stress for everything moving forward.
Absolutely. Thank you. So how many flips did you end up doing to date? Like, how many have you done so far?
I have done 3, and I'm no longer doing flips.
You're no longer doing flips.
No longer doing flips. Yeah.
So what are you doing now to change your strategy?
Yeah. So now I'm going all in on hotels. I've been always drawn to hospitality, and it was actually something I wanted to pursue before flipping. And so the coach who I'm actually in his program now actually reached out to him before the flipper, but he never responded. And so I ended up just joining the flipping program. But yeah, there's so many things that I learned from my flipping experience that, like for one, flipping, like the valuation of houses in your flips is based solely on like the comps, like the house next door, right? And so you can have a house that, say you purchase it for $100,000 and you put 100,000, or say you put $1 million into it. But if the house next door only sells for 200,000, your house is still going to be worth 200,000, right? Like no matter how much renovation you spend on it. With commercial properties, you can increase the value so many different ways, and it's not just based on the house next door. And so it's based on how much income you bring into the property, how much expenses you can decrease, If you have a really good marketing strategy, that can increase the value of it because you get way more direct bookings. And so there's just a lot more ways that you can increase the value of a property as opposed to just like flipping. And another thing about flipping that I didn't like is like you don't get any tax advantages because it's just treated as like active income. So whatever you make on a property is just taxed normally. With anything you hold, you can typically decrease your taxes if you do like a cost segregation or anything like that. That's kind of why I've always wanted to get into hotels.
Very cool. All right. Tell me about joining a community. How important is that to help align your goals and get you started?
Yeah, community is super important. I think entrepreneurship in general, it feels very lonely, especially if you're coming from a background like yourself or I, like all the friends and family that I work with, all the nurses, even everyone I grew up with, no one is doing real estate. And so a lot of times it could feel just like you don't really have anyone to bounce ideas off of, no one to just like mentor from or anything like that. And so community can really allow you to just expedite your learning process by learning from other people's mistakes and just connecting with other people who are doing the same things you want to do, right? And so, there's this saying that says like, don't ever tell people who are not doing the things you want to do, like what your dreams are, right? Because people who aren't doing the things you want to do will probably crush your dreams and be like, why are you doing that? That's so risky. Whereas if you're in a community and people are doing these things, you're like, why aren't you going bigger? Why aren't you doing this? And so I think just the community for itself and just the networking is like the most valuable thing.
Exactly. I appreciate that. That's the way I feel too.
Yes.
All right. So you're still working as a nurse. How is it managing both of those jobs right now? You're full-time looking for a hotel, full-time still working as a nurse. How is that?
Every day is different, honestly. Nursing is great because there's a lot of flexibility in it. My schedule, I work 12-hour shifts. And so when I first started in nursing, I was working 36 hours a week. And so my commitment was really only 3 days a week. And now I've taken a step back even further. And so now I only work 2 days a week in the hospital. That's my commitment. And I'm always able to pick up, which is awesome. But if I really want to just do strictly hotel stuff, I can just do like 2 days a week. And so that allows me to have 5 extra days of the week to be focusing on hotels. And so I love the flexibility that nursing allows me to have. If I had a normal 9 to 5 or whatever, working 5 days a week, I don't know if I'd necessarily have the energy because, I mean, doing this is super hard and coming home after work and then just trying to be able to do other things is really challenging. And so, yeah, I think having the really work-life balance between work and hotels makes it much more manageable. And thankfully, my wife is super supportive. I think that's a really big part of it. It's just you're having your partner who's also aligned on what you want to do.
Absolutely. Well, you're lucky you have a little bit more of a flexible schedule. So that is nice. Tell me about what you're looking for in hotels now. Are you looking small, large, in-state, out-of-state? What is your buy box, I guess?
So right now, definitely looking for things in California. I think it'd be nice to have something where you can drive to. So typically I'm trying to target something within 3 or 4 hours, or at least having maybe a partner who may be closer to it. So if I have a partner who's in LA or San Diego, at least they're close to it. And so we want to have someone with a close proximity that can be kind of like the boots on the ground. And so looking for here in California, we're looking for anywhere from 10 to 20 rooms or so. We're looking for more nature-focused properties just because that's something I've always loved, I always crave. And I think a lot of the hospitality is moving towards like that kind of experiential hotels because like no one really wants to stay in just like a cookie cutter Best Western or Hilton anymore. I think people are really craving to go to places where you can have a really good experience that's unique and in nature because I think people just energize most in nature. And so really looking for something like that. Yeah, I think the purchase price definitely under probably like 5 million or so. Hoping to raise capital. So yeah.
Have you done that before?
I raised some capital from my flipping.
Okay.
And I've actually gotten some soft commits for the hotel stuff so far. So I'm just trying to always share my story, share everything that I'm doing. And so that people, they know pretty much everything I'm involved in so that when the time comes for a property, it's not like I'm just coming out of nowhere like, hey, do you want to invest in my deal? Because they have no idea that I'm doing this. And so I've been pretty much sharing my journey the entire time since flipping. So everyone knows that I'm involved in real estate. And so I think when the time comes, it's not as hard of a pitch as someone who's maybe doesn't post anything at all.
Yeah, you're really good about posting and sharing what you're doing. You also have a podcast. You want to share with us a little bit about your podcast?
Yeah, my podcast is called The Lowdown. I think I have 42 or 43 episodes so far. I started about a year and a half ago, and most of my guests are also involved in real estate or some kind of business or entrepreneurship in general. But yeah, I just think podcasting is a great way to connect with people like yourself. I think podcasting and social media, whether you don't even do a podcast, say you do a newsletter or just posting just regularly on Instagram, it's the best way to leverage your time and grow at scale, because instead of having one conversation like you are having right now, it could potentially reach hundreds, if not thousands of people, and they could be hearing the same thing. And so this is just the best way to just like multiply your time instead of just like trying to talk to one person at a time.
Exactly. And it's fun. It's fun to do. Get to
Yeah,
meet
absolutely.
really cool people.
Yes. I know for a fact I've had conversations with people and have built some relationships because of my podcast where I know they would have never given me the light of day had I not had the podcast. And so, the podcast is like a win-win situation, because you're allowed to meet these people, kind of pick their brain, and at the same time, if you have a following already, it allows them to market themselves. And like, for instance, I had one person who was a CPA, and because of that, I have more friends now who wanted to use a CPA and got pretty much exposure to him because he was on my podcast. And so it's just like a win-win situation for everyone.
That's great. Yeah. What would you say to another nurse or someone with another W-2, a teacher or a nurse or someone like that, who feels stuck? What should they do? Just get started?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best thing for sure is surround yourself with other people who are doing the things you want to do. Like, join a mastermind. It doesn't even have to be a mastermind, because they're honestly, some of it could be very expensive. But to me, it's my version. Like, this is how I justify it. It's my version of grad school. And so I never got my master's. I never got my doctorate or anything like that. And so if you look at those options, those are $100,000, $200,000, right? And so a mastermind can be anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000. There's some that are really expensive, but I think that's how you can justify it. And just learn from other people as much as you can in the beginning, and also just really take action, because the longer you sit on the sidelines, you lose on so much potential opportunity. And you can read as many books, listen to as many podcasts as much as you want, but nothing will ever teach you like the action and journey itself. Everything that I went through my 3 flips, no module would ever prepared me for what I went through. And so I think you just got to get into it and just stay with it, and really surround yourself with other people who are doing it, because I think your friends and family who aren't doing it will probably talk you out of it.
Right. Lorenzo, thank you for sharing your journey. If people want to get in touch with you, how can they find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. It's probably the best place. It's Lorenzo_Mercado_. I'm also on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. You can look at my podcast, The Lowdown.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Chalkboards to Cash Flow, where we turn real estate dreams into real life wins for teachers and everyday investors. If this episode helped you feel a little more confident or inspired, make sure to follow, leave a review, and share with a friend. And don't forget to join our free Facebook group, Chalkboards to Cash Flow, where we support each other every step of the way. Until next time, keep learning and keep growing. And remember, you don't need to be rich to start. You just need to start.